Welcome to Rev Shots, your weekly dose of quick hit wisdom, where we tackle the most pressing topics of the day for ourselves and our revenue teams. Our show features expert guests with decades of experience. We delve into what works and why, sharing tools to be unapologetically successful, from making our number to delighting our clients. If you're ready to boost your knowledge in under 30 minutes on a weekly basis, tune in. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest features. Hello and good morning, everybody, on the final Friday of March. Hard to believe that that's where we're at. It's amazing. So thank you and welcome to Rev Shots, everybody. We are on episode number 59. And again, it's probably more than that as we have some special editions that we've done. So, you know, I'm not a math genius, but I'm going to round up to 65. So,
I love it.
And, you know, for everybody joining us, you know that our whole purpose of Rev Shots is to bring you quick hits of wisdom brought by experts in their field. And it's almost like peeking into conversations that are happening globally. And to give you insight, we're never alone with what we're facing, and there's always somebody out there. So make sure you're tuning in, bring your teams, catch the replay if you need to. And today I'm really, really excited to talk with Alyssa. We crossed paths during the summer of last year when she reached out and I was on her podcast called Taking Back Mondays, which is amazing. So you should go subscribe to that. And Alyssa's up to some really, really cool things in the CS space, which is sorely needed across the board. So with that, Alyssa, thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Alyssa was also a speaker at Revenue by Design's H2H Human Connections Done Right Summit that we held also in March of 2025. March feels like a very long month right now. So it was amazing as well. Go ahead.
Oh, it really does. I mean, it feels like you said the last Friday of March and I went, wait, no, wait. Yes. Okay.
Right? Yeah, it's bananas. It's the only month that for those of us that have kids in school, if you're not homeschooling, which I kind of miss, it's the only month that doesn't have a day off. There's no holiday.
Yeah.
Right? It's the longest one. So anyway, with that, Alyssa, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and then we're going to dive into the one question we ask every guest.
Yes. So my name is Alyssa Nolte. I'm the CEO of a company called TruVue. And my entire career has been trying to figure out how do we help customers understand their customers even better. And so I've worked with these huge companies all over the world, and we've been brought in to help them do research on their customers and understand what their customers care about and what they are using to make decisions, and how can we quantify emotional decision making in a way that can be marketed to, and we can create journeys that people actually want to go down. So helping you go from, hey, I'm interested in this business, to I'm ready to talk to a salesperson that much faster. And so it's like a lot of data, a lot of nerdy stuff. But I would never put myself in that category. I just work with really, really smart people who want to take the guesswork out of our customer decision making.
Yeah. I love what you just said in so many ways, because I think sometimes we think we have to do it all, number one, and we don't. And we live in a world of being able to use our resources. And it's in one of the benchmarking tools, or it's a benchmarking question we have for leaders. And it's, how well on a scale of 1 to 10 do you think you're using the resources at your disposal? And let me ask you that question, Alyssa. Like, what do you, and this is not our one question, but I think this is a good conversation to be having, is collaboration is a verb, and it's really hard to do sometimes. So how well do you see people collaborating and using the resources at their disposal?
So I'm an early adopter, right? I love every new tool that comes out onto the market. So that little caveat there. So for that reason, I'm like aware of all of the things that I could be doing in terms of using my resources. But I think because of the sheer number of things that are out there that can help us and be the tool that's going to change the game for us, I think we have to be really selective and careful and curated about what we bring into our world, so that we become augmented people who work better, work smarter, rather than working harder. I'm so sick of having to do the work to make my technology work rather than letting my
Seriously.
technology work to make
Yes.
me work.
Yes.
And so I think that that is going to be the key as we have more opportunity, more access to more resources than ever before. We have to find a way to make sure that those are actually augmenting our intelligence, not replacing us,
Yeah.
but taking the minutia out so that we can focus on what matters, which is human to human connection, building relationships, and keeping people at the center, even when we throw in AI, automation, technology, or whatever else is the buzzword of the day.
Seriously, I completely agree with you on that. So I was talking with somebody the other day, and they've got an amazing AI offering, and it's fantastic, right? And I think that's the buzz of the century. But humans still tell the bots what to do.
Yeah. And if I can automate something to make my to free up myself for more times that only I can do, then I'm going to do that. So if I'm going to use Zapier to automate my podcast applications into my task tracker and to use Jotform to take down the notes or whatever, or use Otter to take down my notes in my meetings, that's great because that frees me up to do what only I can do, which is have conversations with real people, to get out and connect and to think about how we can create value for our customers and for our friends and coworkers and colleagues in a way that AI and tools are just never going to be able to do.
100%. It's that thought process, right? As a sentient being that we can really engage in and automate things. And I have, as you were talking through that, I was thinking of a really silly example. And years ago, when we first moved into our house, our washers and our washing machine came with a timer. Now it's kind of standard. And I sat there and I was like, I will never use that, right? Holy bananas. I got to tell you, I think for me, like, it's a super basic, and for some people, you might think it's a silly example. I do that all the time because one of the workshops I teach and talk with folks about is day in the life. Are we planning our minutes? And are we using our resources appropriately? And if that means at the end of the night, I literally schedule my laundry. So all I have to do in the morning is throw it into the dryer and I have time to get stuff done, freeing up my space to have a really amazing phone call for work in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, it's how are we using our resources at the end of the day to maximize effectiveness and put ourselves where we need to be in the highest value way possible.
And like, I think you have to pick the things that don't give you, for lack of a better way to say it, don't give you joy. Right.
Yeah.
So like I don't enjoy cooking. It's not something that it's not
Seriously.
something I enjoy. I just
No.
I just don't love it. So I bought a kitchen robot. It's my new latest obsession. Think of it as like those meal plans that you get where they deliver them to your door, but they also sold me an appliance where you stick the meals in, you scan a little QR code, and it knows what you just put in there, and it cooks it exactly how it needs to be cooked based on whatever you threw in there, and you tell it what time you want it to be done, and it keeps it cold until it's time. I put that in every morning at like 10 o'clock after I'm, got my
Yeah.
day going for the day. Then my kids can eat at 6 and nobody's complaining. And so like, yeah, is it, the most glamorous thing to be like, I hate cooking? No, nobody, but
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it. So
Right.
let's automate it.
Okay. You just sold me on the kitchen robot because
Mhm.
I as well do not enjoy cooking.
And
Right.
the,
I
the meals
do.
are actually pretty good. So
Are they? Okay.
yeah,
Something to look into. I
yeah,
love it.
exactly.
Okay. Solved another problem. So, as you are talking with folks, your clients, your colleagues, your prospective clients within the realm of TruVue, again, which is an amazing solution, what is, and this is the question we ask every guest, is what is the one topic you're really hearing right now that people are trying to solve for?
In my space, it's data overload. There's a million different places to get data. They have all of these sources of data. They just don't know what to do with it. It feels like they're just throwing it into a melting pot or a crock pot, to continue our cooking analogy, and hoping that something comes out of it. And so we're really trying to figure out, how do we help people curate their data, use the right data, listen to the right signals, understand what the actual people behind the screen are saying, about their product, about their brand, and about their experience. A lot of the data out there too is logical data, I guess I'll say, But a lot of times we as people are making emotional decisions. And
Mm,
so, like, just because I'm logging into your software doesn't mean I love it. And just
mhm.
because I'm logging into software doesn't mean I'm going to renew it. And so, how do we figure out how to bring the people side, the human experience side back into the data? Because we all want to be data driven. We all want to, say that we are making decisions based on logic and fact. But a lot of times, people, our buyers, our customers, and ourselves are making decisions based on emotion and gut feel and the way we experience a brand rather than necessarily the actual facts of our usage.
So funny and interesting that you talk about that because your words right now, Alyssa, really brought all of it together, right? Where just because I can do something doesn't mean I love it.
There's plenty of software that I use that I absolutely despise, but I use it because it's something that I have to use either for work or this is actually a great example. I got one of those little NPS surveys that
Yeah.
pop up on your computer. I'm a Windows person. I use PC. I have an Android phone, right? I do not have any of the Apple universe. And it popped up and it said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend Windows? And I said a 10.
Yeah.
Not because I love Windows, but
Right.
because of the two options, it's what I prefer.
Right.
Now, if you only took that 10 out of 10 and called it a day and said, oh, she loves us, she's going to use us forever, if something better came along, I would probably be open to considering that. But it's because of the two choices.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
best of the two, in my opinion.
Correct. Yeah.
And so we have to have a deeper understanding of our customers and we have to stop trying to put people onto a number line because we don't make decisions on a number line. We don't exist on a number line. We're much more complex than that. And yet businesses are making billion with a B dollar decisions based on trying to put humans into numbers and boxes.
Yeah. 100% agree with you on that. Right. And how many times has that happened? And you're like, I just need somebody to talk to. Like,
Yeah.
where's the phone number? You know what I mean? And
The
it's like,
number
wait,
of times I've typed human into a chat just to try to get someone to like actually talk to a real person.
yes, yes. It's astonishing. And what's more astonishing is when the feedback comes back that says, why do you want to talk to somebody? Because you, the human, can connect the dots
Yeah.
faster than a very either or question. Like there's context there that doesn't get understood.
Right. Or I know that my problem is not going like it's something that I know has to be escalated and
Correct.
a support base can't help me with. Like I have a situation, I know it needs to be escalated. So let's just skip to that point because it's something that you can't solve just by chatting with a chatbot.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. And I think too that what I'm hearing, the underlying thing there, Alyssa, is sometimes the system will know better than the user. And exactly what we were saying is technology does not replace humans in this scenario, right? And so the fact that we think that we can have human thought subjugated to is a whole host of issues
Mm.
at the end of the day, and I quite frankly don't agree with clearly, right? So let's get to what you're hearing everybody talk about. I love the fact that you keep using the word curated. And because I agree with you, I think there's so much out there, and it's very easy to have the shiny object syndrome, which it always has been in tech, even more so now. So, how when you're talking with folks about curating content and surfacing it up, I'm assuming for people to take action against, what are you seeing companies do to address this data overload successfully?
Successfully being the key word, right? Like I see a lot of people trying to address it.
Yes.
What has happened to the detriment, I think, of all of our work experiences and the burnout that we're seeing, especially in customer facing roles, is right now the strategy is, well, I want to collect all this data and sales probably knows this. So I'm going to add 10 more required fields to our CRM before they're able to book a deal. And we'll just have them fill that in for us. And that's how we'll get data. And it doesn't work. How many times? And so I did a study with a huge company. They have 80,000 something sellers, like a huge brand. And what we discovered is, surprise, surprise, people were just putting in dummy data to bypass those fields because sometimes they didn't know the answer. Sometimes it wasn't the right time in their flow to know that answer.
Right.
And so you're wanting them to book these deals into your CRM and they're doing the right thing. However, you're putting up roadblocks because you didn't consider the seller experience in that process. So I think the companies that are really doing it right go back to the fundamentals and say, what does our process actually look like? How do our customers actually want to buy from us? Right? What is the process that they want? What is the process that we want? And how do we marry those two in a way that is thoughtful and intentional? And how do we make sure that we don't just add things for the sake of adding things? We do it in a way that has purpose and meaning, and
Mm-hmm.
it's connected to what it ultimately comes down to, which is that buyer journey.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make sure that it's easy for our customers to buy and easy for our sellers to sell so that we can deliver on our promise, which is the reason that everyone's in the room in the first place?
Right. Really, really well said. Really well said. So there's almost a need for triangulation at the end of the day, right? And so it almost goes back to how are we triangulating the problem we're trying to solve? Who needs to be there? Who's impacted? What are we trying to solve for? What's our current process? Right? So are you seeing people kind of take that approach to addressing and advancing this solution at the end of the day, if I had to say it that way?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that are people are doing it, but it comes back to you have to do the deep, unsexy, difficult, hard type A work that a lot of people, particularly in sales facing roles, don't really want to do, right?
Yeah.
When I think about sellers, I won't generalize, but when I think about sellers, I don't think about people who love data entry and who
Correct.
love the experience of putting things and
Yeah.
thinking through process. They want to get out and they want to build relationships and they want to sell.
Mhm.
I worked with another company that said their sales team spends 16 hours a week in strategy meetings or doing data entry. That's like
Woo!
2 out of 5 working days. And in order to accommodate that, a bunch of them are working on Sunday nights to get that stuff ready for their Monday morning huddle.
Yeah.
And so they're turning over people like crazy simply because they haven't taken the time to really think through that human experience. I mean, that's what it really all comes back to.
Yeah.
So the organizations that are doing this well are the ones who keep people at the center of the conversation, that have empathy for those people, and that are willing to say, hey, I don't have all the answers. Let's uncover them together.
I think again that's really well said, Alyssa, and I agree with you. And again, so it's always about the people. And I'm going to do another plug for our summit that we did, our H2H Human Connections Done Right Summit. Our keynote speaker, Matt Stoika, did a great job talking about empathy. And I think all of our speakers, yourself included, anchored on that notion of people, process, and tech. People, process, and tech. It's the perfect trifecta, and we must anchor within that. And how do we do that well at the end of the day? And if we're still having our sales teams do data entry and not using a tool like Momentum, or there's another one that I will forget, but I'll put it in the notes in the follow up, that captures all of that, like there is zero reason to not be using AI to capture data from phone calls if and when we can.
Yep. I use Otter to record, to come to my meetings as my note taker.
Yeah.
There's like Gong is out there for sellers. There's all kinds
Oh,
of stuff out there. And that comes back to the point though of making the conscious decision to bring that tool in your life to add value to you as the person. So you
yeah.
said like almost that like trifecta. I would think of it less as like a triangle and more of like humans are the nucleus of the atom, and then we've got those little things swirling around the outside of process and tech. But if you don't have people at the heart of that, if you're just building the tech to build the tech, it might work for a little bit, but it's not going to have a lasting effect.
No, and it speaks to the disengagement of employees right now, which is at an all-time high
Yep.
for a variety of reasons. And it is causing huge amounts of just loss at the end of the day.
And loss earlier. So I was reading an article, and like Taking
Yeah.
Back Monday is one of my my interests, and it's because happy employees leads to happy customers, and happy customers is a great brand perception, and a great brand perception means you're winning the market, right?
Yeah.
And I saw an article recently that said that you used to have a midlife crisis of like peak stress at like 40, right?
Yeah.
That's about when it happens. People were reporting their peak levels of stress. That has since changed. In the last 10 years, we see the peak stress level hitting between 25 and 30.
Woo!
So we're having fairly fresh people having midlife crises. And it's not because they're softer than any previous generation. I think it's just we've created this unsustainable system of remote work and technology first, and we're dehumanizing the experience. And I think that's going to have lasting and long term effects on our businesses and our relationships with our customers.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And you kind of mentioned it, but do you have some more specific examples you can kind of point to?
Of like exiting, like
Yeah, that exactly that what you were just talking about kind of manifesting.
you're just seeing it. I mean, look at the amount of people that are getting laid off, turning over, leaving their companies. The idea of staying with a company for more than a year these days. I mean, the job hopping is insane. And I mean, get it, go get that bag. I understand that. But at the same time, we're losing the ability to help this younger generation. One of the things I see in a younger generation is they're missing out on what I call the bullpen effect. Right?
Yes.
When I worked in an office, if someone had a question,
Yeah.
I would shout the answer across the bullpen, and everybody heard the question and everybody heard the answer, so they all gained knowledge and experience simply by existing in that environment. We do not have that anymore when we're a fully remote company. There is no bullpen. You have to just be insatiably curious or have a really good mentor who knows how to go out of their way to guide you in that process. Both of those things are very, very hard to find. And it's going to mean we're going to have an entire generation who is missing out on that opportunity to learn by osmosis.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, Alyssa. I know there's a lot of swirl around the return to office. For that very reason, though, humans were made to be together.
And don't get
And
me wrong, like I work from home, right?
I know
And it would be hard to go back to an office, but I started a coffee meetup that I go to once
oh,
a
that's so
Friday,
cute.
and we just had it this morning, and we got together, and it's a bunch of other people who work from home,
Mhm.
who we don't work together, we have nothing to do with our businesses, but we just wanted the opportunity to connect with other
Yep.
people
Yep.
instead of just hanging out with our dogs all day.
I agree with you on that. And I think too, like it doesn't have to be the full return to office 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. There can be some flexibility there while still getting the benefit of being together.
Yeah.
You know what
The
I mean?
worst thing is to be like, come back to office so you can sit on Zoom calls, right? If you're going to have people physically together, put them together then.
Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah. Like we're all tired of Zoom at the end of the day. So, well, we're not at all.
No, we're not.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, we're really talking about, we started talking about when we're seeing TruVue and the data overload and helping organizations really curate their data for their teams in order to have strategic thought processes around how to approach customers, around how to lead a better customer experience at the end of the day. So our reps and our teams and our leaders really valuable mind share isn't focused on data gathering. We're focused more on we can trust the data. Now we're looking at the data, seeing what story the data tells us, and coming up with a really great way to explore a customer experience at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
less data gathering, more data actioning, right?
Yeah.
Let's actually do something with this stuff that we've pulled in. Let's make a conscious decision about what we're going to pull in, why we're pulling it in, and what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Because if you only ever just have, a bunch of dashboards, but you have no idea what they mean or don't care what they mean, it's, if a tree falls in the woods, did it make a sound? If a dashboard gets created but nobody looks at it, does it even exist?
It doesn't even exist. The answer is no. And so, yeah. So what we're seeing is companies that are successful with this is exactly that is really homing in on the a shared definition. That's what I see too. It's like a shared definition of data sources, what it means and how to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and rolling that out and wrapping enablement or training around what to do with the data, right? And again, extrapolating that out to an experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, and keeping it all really approachable.
Yeah.
right? Because we've all seen those outcomes data dashboards reports that are like, here, read this 300-page report and then go decide to do something. That's just not the reality in which we live. So trying to
Mhm.
keep it really approachable, really easy to understand, not like, middle school me crying in algebra 2 because I was stressed out about the numbers and the math of it all, but making sure that it's actually useful information, that it brings value in the same way we expect to bring value to our customers. Our data should bring value to us.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah. When we have a section of our workshop around data. And one of the things I always talk with our clients about is you have three KPIs, one lagging, which is revenue, and two leading. Everything else is a metric. So
Mm-hmm.
do not call your 20 widget report a dashboard ever. It's not. It's a report because it takes you 15 minutes to read it.
Right.
Right. So to your point is what is the action? Do people, when they look at your dashboard, can they take action?
Right.
Right. In minutes, not hours at the end of the day. So
Yeah, I was just thinking about it because we're building, like an analytics engine, right? So I have a coworker that I've worked with for the last 10 years. He's a very smart guy, and I've been joking with, and he's quite a bit older than me, and he's going to retire in the next couple of years. And
yay.
I was joking with him. I'm like, well, you're not allowed to retire until I can upload your brain to the cloud. And so that's, basically TruVue is my attempt to do that. Um, but I said to my colleague a couple days ago, we have to always answer the question, so what, who cares?
Exactly.
Any number that goes onto the board, you
Yep.
better have a damn good so what, who cares to go along with that number,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's just noise. It's just junk. And if you don't have a good reason why that number is there, then it shouldn't be there.
Yes. Yeah. And what do people do with it?
Right.
Right. It's if your dashboard and your numbers or your report isn't as clear as a stoplight, if it's red, you do this. If it's green, you do this.
Right.
We need to enhance that experience.
Right. Because I don't have time to get a PhD in data analytics to understand your report. I have to go do other things like talk with customers and be on amazing shows like Rev Shots
And Taking Back Monday.
and Taking Back Monday. Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. So, Alyssa, for everybody joining us, is going to join us again for our Workout Wednesday. So, Revenue by Design, we've got the show Rev Shots where we're talking through some of these things. And then we have Workout Wednesday where our guest, like Alyssa, is going to show us TruVue. So, if you are interested in seeing the TruVue platform in action, definitely join us Wednesday, April 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific. And of course, we'll have the replay available for everybody. In the meantime, Alyssa, where can people find you?
Come connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to have conversations. If you want to talk about Taking Back Monday, come be on my podcast. It really is just about how do we reimagine customer relationships in the terms of human experience.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We are so excited that you listened, whether you listen live or you listen after. Make sure you're connecting with Alyssa and myself. Join us on our Workout Wednesday, and we'll see you soon. Make it a great one. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.